Welcome, welcome, welcome to this a very special Glorious Life on Wheels. Today is the anniversary, my 1 year anniversary. February 13th is when I'm taping this show. It's not going to air for a few days, but I'm airing it on February 13th. And later today, I'm going to be doing a live with a couple that I just admire so much, Adventure Bandits. So it is a happy day for me. And I just thought, it's been kind of blustery this week here and a little bit chilly and rainy. And I thought, why not do something, a comfort food, a food and a dish that I remember from my childhood that I want to share with you because I'm happy and when I eat it, it makes me happy. So I hope it'll make you happy. So come on, and I'm going to tell you all about what we're making today. Today, I am going to be showing you how to make chicken and dumplings. Now, I'm going to take a few shortcuts because I know some of you are cooking it in a van. But I'm going to tell you the ingredients, and it is just a delicious, wonderful meal, whether it's blustery or cold or not. Now, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing today, and I'm also going to tell you what I'm doing a little differently. Now, today I am doing with chicken thighs, and I really like chicken thighs for chicken and dumplings. I know a lot of people use chicken breast, but I'm using chicken thighs that I've already cut up, and these are skinless and boneless. But usually when I make it, I cook the chicken pieces, the thighs, with the bones and the skin on it because it gives a little bit more flavor. But today, for simplicity reasons, and in case you're going to do it, I'm doing it this way. Also, what I like to do is I have some chopped up celery, some chopped up onion, and that's going to go in the dumpling, chicken and dumplings. Then I will be adding some cream of celery. I will be adding I like some shredded carrots in mine. I just, that's just a little thing that I add. And then, of course, I use a stock base of chicken broth. Now, if you don't have chicken broth, you can use water, but if you're going to use water, I suggest you add chicken bouillon, and this is a particular flavor that I like. I even add a little bit of this even when I'm cooking my chicken in the broth. Now, as you know, I tell you over and over, absolutely, spices are the king of any dish. So I add a little bit of the W sauce. I can't say this. I add some garlic powder. I add onion powder. I add some seasoned salt. And then I also add a couple bay leaves, and I also add some thyme. Now, what I normally do for my dumplings is I normally make my biscuits, the 2-ingredient biscuits, and I'm going to try and see if we can't get a link for that. But, it's so simple, just self-rising flour and cream. But today, for those of you who may not feel like doing even that, I'm going to show you a quick hack just using these Grand Biscuits. Now, what I do with my Grand Biscuits, and I'll show you later, is I add some rosemary to give it flavor. And I found this seasoning at Trader Joe's. It's called Everything But the Bagel Sesame. And it's a sesame seasoning blend. I like that. So let's go on and get started, and I'll show you what the first step is. The first thing I'm going to do is I like to saute my celery and onions just a bit because I don't want them real crispy, or crunchy rather. So I'm going to put them in a pot with just a little bit of oil, and you can hear that sizzle already. Let me get the rest of this out of here. Okay, then I'm going to let that kind of just put that on just kind of a low, let it saute about maybe for about 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. And while that is sauteing, I am going to season up my chicken a little bit. Now, I'm not going to put too much salt on it because the chicken broth already has salt. And you can always, as I tell you, you can always add salt, but it's a problem if you have too much salt. Now, oops, I didn't open this beforehand. Let me just open this up here. Okay, I'm going to just add some, I'll just do it freehand here. You know I like a lot of garlic powder. So I'm going to add plenty of garlic powder, a tablespoon or so of garlic powder. Then I'm going to add a little bit of salt, not a whole lot of salt, seasoned salt, because I don't want, as I said, don't want it too salty, but I'll just add a little sprinkling of. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit, just a little taste of the W sauce in my chicken here. Then what I'll do is I will go ahead and I'm going to mix this up and let it sit in there for a few minutes while my vegetables are sauteing. Now, let's go here. Let's come in here and let's check on our onions, and they're sauteing here. We're going to get them good and saute. About maybe, yeah, till the onions start to look kind of translucent. I don't really saute the carrots because they're shredded and they will cook up pretty quickly. So we don't really need to saute the carrots. So what I'm going to do is get ready, and I'll be back in a minute and I'll show you what else is going to happen. Those onions look like they are kind of the translucent color that I want. I'm not really trying to completely cook them, just get them a little tender. And now I'm going to just add my chicken to the pot. I'm going to stir that up good. And now I'm going to add in my chicken broth. I'm using 32 ounces. You can actually, if you want, you could use 48 ounces, but depends on how much you want to make. But I'm adding this broth. I like a nice meaty and hearty chicken and dumplings, so that's why I'm not adding quite as much fluid, but if you want more, you can add more. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add my thyme. I'm going to add, I love thyme with chicken, so I'm going to add a good, maybe even a tablespoon. And if it comes too strong, just add some more broth. I'm adding my thyme. I'm going to add a few parsley flakes. And then I'm going to also garnish it with parsley flakes so it'll look nice. Stir that up. And then I'm going to add my carrots now. And I'm going to probably add, this bag is 10 ounces. I'm going to maybe add about, get this open here, about a cup, or maybe just a half a cup, since I don't have as much liquid in here, just maybe a half a cup of carrots here. But you'll kind of see it as you go. And let's get a look at here and see what this is looking like. Now you see I've got my carrots, got my celery, got my onions, my thyme, and oh, did I mention I wash my chicken off with vinegar and let it soak for a few minutes in the vinegar, and I think that really gives it an extra flavor too. All right, we're gonna let this go, and I'm going to cover this and let it simmer for, I'd say, maybe 20-30 minutes. We'll come back and we'll check on it. Meanwhile, I'm going to show you how I'm going to make these dumplings. And we will, as you see, we've got the cream of celery, but we're going to add that later. And we're going to also thicken this up a little bit later with some flour, but I'll show you that in a minute. Meanwhile, I'll be back and show you on the dumplings. All right, as I told you, I usually make my dumplings from scratch with just the self-rising flour and the cream to make the biscuits that I showed you how to make a few weeks back. But this is the Grand's biscuits that are already in a can, and what I do is I put some flour on a sheet there, and I just mix these all up because I want to add some seasoning to this. So I'm going to add my everything but the bagel sesame seasoning. And you can add whatever you want. You could add, I like also rosemary in this. You can add a little seasoning salt, but I think this is just perfect. And I get it all mixed up in here. I'm going to add more because I like a lot of this. I love this seasoning. It's all over here. Now what I'm going to do, now on my biscuits, since they're lighter, what I do is I just, and what my mom used to do, she didn't cut them in strips. I'm going to cut them in strips today, but what my mom used to do, she used to just scoop out little balls and just drop them in the pot. And that's how I normally do, but today I'm going to do it a little easier. Roll this out with my little, my cute little rolling pin. And roll it out to about maybe 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch thick. And then I'm just going to cut them in strips. And as the chicken is cooked, one of the things about putting the chicken in the pot already cut up is it cooks a lot more quickly. You can see this is coming up here, and I'm going to actually turn that down a little bit. But I'm going to show you what this looks like here. Oh, you see all the carrots. I can tell by the look of them that they're softening up. The celery in there, the onion, that is just really good. Oops, looks like my gas went off, so I've got to turn this back on. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to get these. And however many strips you want, that's up to you. But I don't know if I'm going to use this whole can, but I'll see. Okay, I'll make my strips. Okay, I've got this ready to cut up my strips here. I'll put a little flour on my knife so that it'll cut. I'll just cut them in little strips. Keep flouring my knife so I get a and I'll keep doing this until I get all of the, and then what I might do, the ones that are a little long like that, I'll just cut them in half. So I'll be back after I get these all cut into strips, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next before I put these dumplings in the pot. And I'll be back. Okay, I have got all my little dumplings all cut up here. They're a little thicker than normally I would do. And I didn't use the whole pack. I'm going to save the rest of it to make maybe a little individual size pizza for my daughter. But I think with the quart size of chicken broth, I think this is plenty dumplings. I may not even use all of these. But what I'm going to do now, and I forgot to mention to you that I added bay leaves. I added those couple of bay leaves into here. You can see the bay leaves that are here. Don't forget that, because that's an essential part of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the cream of celery soup. And this just really enhances this flavor. And I tasted it, and you know what? I think I would only add a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, or maybe not even add I'll just say W sauce, the W sauce at all. I'll leave that up to you. But I want to get all of this out of here. All of this out of here. All right. And now I'm going to mix this in here and get this cream of celery soup all mixed in here really good. I'm going to mix it until it's all good and mixed in there. And then I'm going to let that cook for about maybe 5 more minutes with that cream of celery soup, letting it get all broken up and all mixed in here. And then I'm going to come back, and what we'll do is we'll take the bay leaves out when I get ready. This cream of celery soup thickens it up a bit, but I still, you see I have flour all over me, but I still want to get it thickened a little bit more. So what I'm going to do before I add my dumplings, I'm going to take a little bit of this juice. I should have got a different spoon, but add some of this juice in here, and I'm going to make a roux. I should have had a different spoon. This spoon is too big. But a roux is where you take flour and you take a liquid of some sort, and you mix them together, and you're making a paste that will turn into what we call a roux, and you'll introduce that back into your pot, and it's going to thicken up the juice from the chicken and dumplings. But I need a little bit more. Don't do like me. Get a tablespoon, a real tablespoon. But this will do for now. I want to make this roux. And I'm going to add this back in here. I'm going to keep adding a little bit of liquid to it until it's almost the consistency of a drink. And then I'll add this back in here. And I'll be back and show you that in a second. All right, you can see that this, and the reason I want to get this good and mixed up is because I don't want lumps. I don't want lumps in here someone will get a bite of flour. And I want this to really be able to see how that consistency is. So I'm going to pour that in here. And that's going to thicken up my gravy there. I'm going to stir it up. It's going to thicken up. And I'm going to let that, oh my, this is good. And then I'm going to take out my bay leaves. And I don't leave the bay leaves in the entire time because I don't want it to be too strong. And now I'm going to add my dumplings. I'm just going to drop them in there, and when they start getting done, they'll rise to the surface. These are kind of thick, so I'm going to thin them out a little bit, mash them as I'm putting them in here. Mashing them, putting them down. And I'm not going to be stirring once I put these dumplings in here. And I say I'll let this cook for about maybe 5 minutes or so. But I will just kind of steer this pot around, kind of just maybe from the center, put the dumplings in the edge, and from the center, let them go. And let me add the rest of these. And as I get these in here, flatten them out. And we'll be back. I'm going to add the rest of these. And we'll be back. Well, it is done. These, I have still one bay leaf I didn't get out of here. Let me get this out of here. One thing I did, I added about a tablespoon of the Knorr's chicken bouillon, and I'll show you what that is again. I added about a tablespoon of this because it still needed a little bit more flavor, and that really brought it up a notch. But look in here, isn't this beautiful? You've got these. Now, you can make your dumplings a little smaller, but this is how my mom used to make her dumplings, and they look like this. They were nice, hearty looking dumplings, and you see the pieces of chicken in here. You see the onions, the celery. Oh, this is just delicious. Well, I am going to dish this up and taste it, and we'll be back for the best part, tasting the chicken and dumplings. Oh, this is so good. My favorite part, tasting it. Say my blessing. And let's jump right in here. This is so savory. Let me try some of these dumplings. Delicious. And some of this chicken. You've got to try this. You have to try this. This is comfort food at its very best. I'm going to take one more bite because I just have to. It's so good. That's so good, it'll make you want to slap someone. Thank you so much for coming along and celebrating my first anniversary, the first anniversary of Glow. And if you missed the live, go back. We had a lot of fun, I'm sure. I haven't taped it yet, but I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun on it. So, 1 year, I have just so many ideas of things I want to bring to you. Wonderful interviews of fascinating people. And I have a new series I'm going to start. I'm working on it in my mind right now, but I'm going to bring it to you, and I think you're going to really just love it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am so grateful to each and every one of you for your support. I couldn't have done it without you. Without you, without my cameraman, Enoch, without all the people that contributed to making this a successful year. Who would have thought a nearly 70-year-old woman could start a YouTube channel? But I did. And if you want to, you can too. But again, thank you. May your journeys be filled with joy and blessing. I'll see you on the road. Till next time, Globies. Bye.